Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Thoughtful Software Podcast. My name is Fahad, and joining me always is Andrew Wolf from Skiplist. This podcast is about building incredible and thoughtful software. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about chatbots. We had a wonderful opportunity to talk to Mitul Tiwari, CTO and Co-Founder of Passage AI, and as well as Muckai Girish, who is a VP of Business Development. It was a fascinating discussion around things like all these different platforms that are out there and the fragmentation and how to kind of manage the landscape. We also touch on security and integrations, privacy, as well as biases inside chatbots, which is a reoccurring theme in a lot of the discussions that we've been having. But we also look forward into some of the trends that we see for 2019. Andrew and I really enjoyed this discussion, and we hope you will too. So here we go. Just a little background on Skiplist. Our whole theme of the podcast and how we build software is around this concept called thoughtful software. And as you've been in software for so many years, the biggest problem that software has is that there's just so much waste. There's like billions and billions of dollars of projects that just go unusable every year. And
Mhm.
it's for a number of reasons. It could be talent related, it could be just, long legal processes, just too many layers of people involved in projects. There's a lot of lack of empathy that's involved also in software. So Andrew and I wanted to kind of start talking about what are more thoughtful ways to build software and anything that's related. So we have done podcasts on software architecture, how software impacts community, machine learning, things like that. So we thought it'd be great to talk to you guys about chatbots, which is a very hot topic this year, and I think moving forward as well. So I think what would be great to get maybe an intro from you on a little bit about your background and why you started Passage AI.
So this is Mitul Tiwari. I'm co-founder CTO of Passage AI. Uh, Passage AI is a conversational AI company. We have built a conversational AI platform to build a chatbot or voice skill, have NLP capabilities, and build and deploy the bots across multiple messaging and voice platforms like Facebook Messenger or even on the websites or Alexa, Google Home to automate various use cases like customer service, IT or HR services, and build virtual assistants. We started the Passage AI in middle of 2016 with Ravi and Madhu are my co-founders. We are venture-backed company. We have raised over 10 million and we have won many awards like TIE 50, Red Herring. We recently won Golden Bridge Award, and we are processing millions of messages per month. We are getting good traction in terms of number of customers, revenue. Our product technology has come along a long way, and we can go in more
Well,
details.
what is unique about your platform that you're getting all these awards?
We have three important components of Passage AI platforms, and basically one of the thing is we have very deep vertical focus. So compared to some of the horizontal platforms, we are more focused on vertical use cases, and we have end-to-end bot building and deployment platform. Uh, we support multiple languages. We support 150 plus languages. We have developed deep NLP stack to process natural language and be able to respond and take action on natural language. And ease of deployment, we support 25 different platforms from Facebook Messenger, Slack to voice platforms like Alexa, Google Home, Bixby. and also on website, mobile apps, you can deploy the bot once it's built using our platform. So these are some of important differentiation compared to other players in the this area.
And I do want to just add to that. This is Girish Muckai, by the way. The net result is when you deploy a chatbot, we can do it quick. We can do it depending on what the customer's vertical is. And then it is also the accuracy, end of the day. The bot can understand and respond to users' requests in a very accurate manner. And again, thanks to the NLP models and the machine learning capabilities, the bots are able to come up to speed rather quickly and then become very accurate. And that's one of the key requirements that we see for for not only bringing users to use chatbots and also to have them continue to use chatbots. Both of these.
Is that your own proprietary NLP stack, or are you using something that's off the shelf?
So we are using many open source technologies like TensorFlow, Kubernetes, but we have built our own pipeline for training NLP models for intent classification. We use some of the latest deep learning technologies like long short-term memory network, which is a sequence learning model to identify intents, which is kind of identifying meaning behind a message or sentence. We have built a sequence learning model for slot filling, entity extraction, identifying sentiments or complaints, which is important for customer service automation use case. Knowledge base is a very important part where we are able to import knowledge bases like frequently asked questions, manuals, and be able to create a conversational interface on top of that. So in short, we have built our own pipeline for training various models on top of some of the open source technologies like TensorFlow, Kubernetes.
Maybe you could describe a really good use case for your technology and just walk us through, what would be like a home run use case look like in terms of integrations and application.
Sure. So customer service automation is a very common use case that is resonating well with our customers. We have deployed multiple bots to automate some of the conversations that are coming to customer service. We have Fortune 500 companies in retail and telecom that are using our solution to automate some of the questions that are coming through customer service channel. And it's about augmenting and making the customer service agents as power users or power players in some sense. And some of our customers are not able to handle the customer service chat request, and their customer service operations are open only 9 to 5 during weekdays. But augmenting that with a customer service bot, they are able to respond to customers' requests immediately, 24/7, and reduce abandonment. So,
and just to add to that, users as well, right? They are sometimes on the move. They're not able to make a phone call. They're in a crowded environment. So they would rather use a particular chat or text interface they're already on. And that could be anything from Facebook Messenger to Slack or SMS or anything else that they are able to use to get the service they want. Again, many cases they want something instantaneous answer. They don't want to wait on the phone for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even an hour at times to call.
Do customers know that they're talking to a bot? I mean, really, this goes into like adoption, right? Is there wider adoption for users and customers talking to a bot, and then know that they eventually could get handed off to a real person, or do you try to blend that in so that the customer doesn't know who they're talking to?
Yeah, so this is up to our customers, right? How they want to configure it, but almost all of them want to make sure that they make the user aware that they are actually talking to a chatbot. In fact, it is very important, right? Two reasons. One is you want to keep the users be very aware of what they are talking to, and number two, almost all of them provide an opportunity to talk to a live agent. So, which means obviously they do know they are talking to a bot. In fact, California is considering regulation in certain types of chatbots that they ought to have that. There's a bill that is being considered in the state Senate actually, that chatbots must advertise that they are chatbots. But even without that, it's for customers. It's all about their relationship with their users, and almost always they need to be truthful and they need to be clear.
Yeah, as a best practice, we recommend our customers to make it clear that user is talking to or conversing with a bot, and when they need to, they can talk to a live agent as well. Or when the bot is not able to handle their request, transfer to live agent. Or when bot detects that sentiment of user messages are changing, or it's a complaint and or a use case that bot is not able to handle, then transfer to a live agent. So in order to distinguish the live agent transfer versus what is happening in the conversation, it's important to distinguish and declare the bot is the one that is conversing with users.
And also, some companies do give a persona to a chatbot. They give a name, and then even sometimes a personality, which is okay. But even then, customers know or users know that they are actually interacting with a chatbot.
So one thing that is, to me, the promising of modern chatbots versus previous chatbots, where you were just hitting touch tone dials and talking to someone that didn't understand anything, is a feedback loop that eventually these chatbots will be as good or even better than humans. One, what are you seeing in trends in the industry that support that? And two, what are you guys kind of doing internally to support a feedback loop, looking at customer engagement and improving the bots over time?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways to look at what bot is conversing with users and improve the bot and use the conversations as feedback. So for example, we have a self training pipeline that uses the customers' messages and bot responses and utilizes the data analyst or crowdsourcing to label those messages with whether the responses are correct or not, and if it is not correct, what's the correct response, and feed that labeled data back into the training pipeline to train various models to be able to respond to such user message correctly next time. Also, in case of ambiguity, sometimes we show multiple options, and what user clicks on options, we are able to learn, or the bot is able to learn next time that for this kind of questions or messages, what is the correct response. So in short, we use user activity with the bot and also conversations we label, and we have a pipeline to get a good feedback to improve the bot.
And also, the trends wise, the NLP, the ability for a chatbot to understand a human, I think it's pretty much on par with the human comprehension to a large extent today. Again, that doesn't mean that a chatbot can answer every question. However, at least it can understand. If you look at the speech recognition capabilities today, they have reached parity quite a bit. The other trend also in the same vein is when the volume of data increases, right? The corpus of knowledge in a company increases. It's very difficult for an actual person to know all the answers. So on the other hand, a chatbot can search through larger amounts of database or data or knowledge base and that can be added and that can scale. So in a way, it helps that a chatbot can do a lot of these functions lot more scalable than human beings. Having said that, obviously there is judgment involved. A chatbot cannot do judgment at this point, right? Or we don't want a chatbot to be judgmental at this point.
The other thing that for chatbots for me that it gets me excited is the ability that didn't exist before, but having a platform like yours would enable is when I have let's say I'm using my iPhone, I'm able to pick up my call and transfer it to my computer, and it's this handoff. And I love the idea of having a platform that allows us to either hand it off to a human being or hand it off to a different, like I'm on Facebook Messenger, I walk in my house and I only use text messaging in my house, because that's an absurd example, and we love those on this podcast. Do you see that customers asking for that kind of handoff, that continuity, if you will, a lot? And if not, why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, definitely. Customers want frictionless access. If you look at it from a user's point of view, I need an answer. I need to know what I want at that moment, wherever I am, right? So it's up to the business to serve that customer need in any form or shape. And I think that involves whatever medium the customer is accessing from. B, if the customer feels that they need to talk to somebody, because if a chatbot is not able to address that, they should be transferred to a live person immediately, right? And that is number two. Number three, they want everything instantaneous, things to be done immediately. So whatever it takes. And the trend also is that especially the newer generation is very comfortable with multiple mediums. I mean, kids now, go give hug Alexa, right? They think Alexa is part of the family. So I think the versatility in which we
And
are
that kid needs a better role model than hugging Alexa.
exactly. So I think as a society we are now more and more comfortable with multiple mediums and channels and multitasking and all that. And I think this ability to do seamless handover, seamless how to serve matters a lot. That's why when you look at contact center solutions, they are evolving into omni-channel, right? Traditional contact center solutions used to be telephone only, but now they are evolving rapidly to be omni-channel or they'll get wiped out. So that applies to, in every way, businesses, how they offer.
How do you guys keep up? How do you guys keep up with all the different platforms out there? I mean, there's so many. I'd be curious, like, is your strategy to deploy Passage AI bots in any platform that's out there, or I mean, do just the popular ones? How do you think about that?
Yeah, so that is one of our differentiation in the sense we support 25 different platforms and many more we are adding. For example, last week we added Bixby 2.0 that Samsung is installing Bixby smart speaker technology in all their devices, from microwaves to washing machine to refrigerators. And now we support Bixby as well. On top of that, we natively support many different platform capabilities. For example, Facebook Messenger keep innovating and keep adding new forms of display. So for example, they have a receipt display or they have airline ticket display option. So we are able to natively display in the format that is supported by a particular platform.
Which one's the most popular platform?
We are seeing our bots being deployed on multiple channels, both on messaging and voice platforms, as well as on their websites and mobile apps. And we are seeing Facebook Messenger, Alexa, Google Assistant or Google Home, Line, and websites and mobile apps are some of the most popular. With mobile apps and websites, basically they are kind of augmenting the existing channels, so it's easier for discovery purpose. So we are seeing a lot of traction there.
Why wouldn't someone deploy, let's say, an Alexa skill rather than your technology? Like, what is the just underlying? I mean, I know you have maybe more multiple platform support. Is there any differences there?
Yeah, so as you mentioned in the previous question, basically with one platform, you build the bot once and deploy across multiple both messaging and voice platform, and we natively translate to native platform capabilities, like in this case, Alexa capabilities. And for example, we have one customer who developed initially an Alexa skill, but now they want to launch the bot on Facebook Messenger, online, on Google Assistant, Google Home, on Microsoft Cortana, and now they are in a little bit kind of trouble how they launch the same bot across all these 6 different platforms. And so they came to us and we built a bot, and with this, just one bot is being deployed across all these different platforms with native platform capabilities, like Facebook Messenger shows like cards and quick replies with some visual elements, versus Alexa has voice. Cortana has both. So basically, it's kind of build once and deploy anywhere, and that's kind of resonating well with many customers, because we see a fragmentation in the market. Alexa has been the most popular smart speaker so far, but Google Homes have outsold Alexa devices recently this year, and also Apple has come out with a smart speaker. Samsung is launching Bixby speakers and putting smart speaker devices in all their devices, from refrigerator to washing machines. Cortana is very widespread in Microsoft desktops, Microsoft devices, and in the new Windows, Cortana will be the main interface for their computing. And so we see fragmentation in the market between Alexa, Google Assistants, Cortana, Samsung, Apple devices. So, and on top of that, of course, the Facebook Messenger has more than 1 billion users. WhatsApp has 1 billion users. WeChat has some 800 million users. So all these different messaging and voice platforms, all are going to be in the market. All are going to be popular.
So in short, you do everything.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So one trend in AI that is actually really near and dear to my heart, because I had to start doing this, is not trying to replace humans, but trying to augment them, make them better. You're seeing it in surgery. You're seeing it basically, they can't replace doctors. So what we'll use AI for is to make doctors better, give them more insight. That's the way Watson Health is trying to go. And you're seeing that trend across the industry. And chatbots right now act as a front for customer support. Like you said, someone calls in, they might talk to a bot, they might mash the 0 button until you talk to a human. Do you see a trend in the same thing for chatbots, where people are using chatbots to help the actual customer service or whoever be better by maybe looking up information for them and giving them an interface, or vice versa, the chatbot getting help from the human in real time as they're chatting with the customer?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, from what we have seen, almost every customer interaction and deployment that we have had, they have not replaced any people. And you said it right? A number of reasons. One is chatbot is not a be all and end all, right? It does a certain function. It offloads certain areas, but it is not meant to replace humans at all under any means. It is supposed to help humans. It is supposed to help a customer find information. And as Mitul earlier said, it's about the time when human agents are not available, or a number of them are not available. A chatbot can take up some of the answers at that time that users ask. The second thing is, Some of the chatbot deployments are for the human agents itself. They can actually use a chatbot to find information before they pass it on to a customer. And in a way, if you look at a customer service agent's life, right, they want to, answer, questions that are more value added or more challenging or non-mundane. And they don't want to be answering, for example, if, let's say a million users want to know what time a store is open. I don't think a number of agents want to answer that question day in and day out. A chatbot can take up that, right? Whereas, when somebody asks about, is this product defective? There's a judgment call there that an agent is ready, willing, and able to answer, and it maintains a longevity of an agent in that organization. Otherwise, you see a large turnover because nobody wants to keep answering mundane questions. So when you put it all together, chatbots actually augment humans. In fact, it's most effective when you do that. Value added, value created, as well as value shared with the customer. But when you just replace agents and just put a chatbot, I don't think that value conveys all through the ecosystem.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What are there? Do you guys see any security concerns with bots?
So we have been following very strict security guidelines and compliance, and like sort of as soon as we get the messages, we process them, and we strip out a lot of confidential information like phone numbers, if any PII information is mentioned, personally identifiable information like email, phone number, addresses. We strip them out before even putting it anywhere in the system. And also, our whole platform is basically like all the requests come in through HTTPS, so it's all encrypted. Any data that is stored is in encrypted DB. So we are following very strict security guidelines to process messages and respond to messages.
So in terms of like just integrating your bot into it with security in mind, there's a lot of data that you're going to be collecting about users and communication. Are companies able to kind of tap into this data through, let's say, an API and integrate it into a CRM and other analytics around these conversations?
Sure. So it's ultimately it's our customers' data. This is basically conversation between our customers and their users. So it's in some sense it's their data, and so customers can access various forms of analytics, metrics, integrate with various CRM systems from Salesforce to a social CRM system.
Yeah, and also let me add to that as well. If you look at the healthcare industry, right, if you're a patient and patient record information, they obviously want a chatbot to also comply with some of the regulations that they have, HIPAA type compliance, etc. So as long as the chatbot allows it to be designed with that in mind. So they just have to ensure that the data flow and where the data is stored and who sees it and all that can then comply with that approach. Financial services, very similar, right? If you're sharing information that is sensitive, then we just need to comply with those things. And also with GDPR in play these days, you need to give users things about their consent, tell them about how you're using their data and so on. It also lets, when you design a chatbot with those frameworks in mind, so that you keep in mind, what is the end-to-end data flow, what type of data is collected, what type of data is moved around, and our architecture allows all that to be made secure, encrypted, all that kind of stuff. But end of the day, it is sort of nicely compartmentalized if needed, and then the interaction between the system and the other systems you mentioned, CRM and ERP and other databases and all that, those APIs these days have really good security built in. So as long as we sort of follow the best practices around all of that, the end-to-end security is preserved and meets the security postures that most enterprises need these days.
So
Okay.
we've talked about external chatbots facing customers, but one thing I think about when chatbots, and I'm an operational CEO, I don't really, Fahad does all of our other stuff. I think of, IT probably gets a billion questions a day saying, how do I run my antivirus? How do I do this? How do I do that? Are you seeing adoption internally for things that are operational, IT, HR, that get thousands of questions a day that can probably be answered by a bot, or are most people focused on the external and then not really bringing it internal for people to use?
Quite a bit actually. Internal IT use cases, internal enterprise use cases. You mentioned about IT, for example. People come back and then their password they have to reset. You don't want to call an IT person on a Saturday, 9 p.m. if that happens, right? So you would rather a chatbot can help you do that. You want to find out information about HR policies or HR related stuff, right? Travel policy, questions on that. All that a chatbot can answer rather quickly. In fact, a chatbot is better off at answering those things, right? As opposed to talking to a person, because they'll have to sometimes look through the policies, because the person you call may not know what is a travel policy in Germany, for example. You would rather have, you will have to talk to somebody that is familiar with that. So there are a number of use cases, even things like legal. We are seeing use cases where a salesperson or a business development person wants to know if there is an NDA with a particular company, and the company name may be different in that in what is filed in the organization. With a chatbot, it can actually ask immediately, is it filed in a different name? And you can type in, do you think it may be different? So that interaction and the quickness with which it happens is very essential. For example, a sales exec is sitting in front of a customer, and they ask, do we have an NDA? They can do this with a chatbot rather than calling somebody in the organization, right? They can just do this from their Slack or something else. So there is large numbers of these use cases, and by the way, the internal departments have the least number of customer service people, right? Or especially in non-office hours as well. So that use case makes it far more compelling as well.
A few episodes ago, we did a podcast on machine learning and data biases. And it was a discussion around how a lot of these algorithms really have inherent biases built into them. And you saw, I don't know how long ago it was, but Microsoft got in trouble with, a bot. And so how do you build in some of this protection or kind of look out for biases that are, we know are built into some of these algorithms? How are you kind of like combating that?
Yeah, so that's really a hot topic in machine learning community, and basically you introduce bias by having bias training data. And the bias we are talking about is different from bias variance trade-off in machine learning we talk about. This is more like data bias or training data bias in some sense. And what we try to do and way to address data biases is having a balanced training data across the use cases and having a training data that's representative of a real use case when a bot is deployed. And also, in our cases, our customers are like Fortune 500 companies who want to control the messaging of the bot. So we don't have scenarios like Taybot you mentioned from Microsoft that was responding from the messages that's basically the response was also generated automatically in some sense. And so what we have is we process the natural language, we understand it, but the responses are in some sense configured so that it doesn't go off the rail. and it doesn't have scenarios like K-bot from Microsoft.
There's also issues like where, if you have, let's say you're a bank and you want, your people applying for mortgages, and we've seen this where certain applications and software will deny, certain people from, various backgrounds. And so you see some selection and biases there. Is there something there that you can prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so that is more around like sort of mortgage application approval or rejection. Uh, of course, we can apply some of our machine learning technologies for that, but most of the time, banks are applying our technologies for understanding users' request and like connecting with the right APIs to do various actions. So in this case, for example, we are working with a lending company which has like sort of 12-step process for applying for certain loans, but using a bot, we have reduced to 2 steps where they just take a picture of, let's say, their driver's license, and we autofill things like name, phone number, like date of birth, address, a driver's license number, and a photo identity card. All that is basically done in 1 step. So basically, we have reduced a 12-step process of a loan application to 2-step. But whether the loan application is accepted or denies, basically that's the banking algorithm to approve or reject. And that's where basically the algorithm that decides approval or rejection, that needs to be representative of like sort of real life use cases and applications, so that like sort of you don't apply, let's say, traditional mortgage approval process to, like, say, payday loan, where like sort of loans are in order of $50 or $100 for a day.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that as well. In a way, there are 2 steps in the bot process that will highlight some of this. One is the algorithm itself that you use to, as Mitul said, right, that would approve yes or no. When you put that algorithm, again, if that is biased, and it's for that financial institution, the mortgage company, to determine whether they want to use that or not. At least it becomes clear, right? Number one, right? It brings it up. Number 2 is, since we collect all the data and analytics is there, if somebody reviews the analytics, they can at least be able to tell if there is a systematic pattern or not, right? Again, this is up to the bank. If they have risk people, or if they have ethics people, if they are given access to all of this, they may be able to flag if there was a bias that that is obvious. The third thing is, bot is very consistent, unlike human beings. So if you're doing the right things, it'll be very consistently correct. If you're doing wrong things, it'll be consistently wrong. And either way, for good or bad, you can at least know. And that's what is a good part of using a chatbot in this case.
As a final thought, I'd be very interested in both of your thoughts on any trends for 2019 around chatbots. I think 2018 was, a lot more adoption around conversational interfaces. Is there anything you see, like maybe blockchain and chatbots? What do you see coming up in the next few years?
So let me start. I'll tell you at least one trend that we are seeing for sure. Number one, contact center solutions. They are truly becoming omni-channel, which means chatbot is becoming an important element of a contact center offering nowadays. And in 2019, I think that's going to be deployed very heavily, which means when a user calls, they have an option of at least initially chatting with the chatbot for most of the enterprises for customer service. And then they can go wherever they want after that. So that is becoming, and then the second part of that is it can be both voice and text, or a combination in some cases.
Yeah. So to add to that, customer service automation is going to be mainstream in coming years. And when Google Home calls to a restaurant for reservation on your behalf, the number of calls coming in will increase quite a bit. And in order to handle those calls, you need to automate those calls on the restaurant side as well. And that's a trend we'll see becoming mainstream in coming year.
Thanks for listening to the Thoughtful Software Podcast. You can always check us out at skiplist.com. Thanks, and we'll talk to you again.